Hello Rebel and welcome back to my life. Now I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I write books like for a living, and if you've read my books you may have noticed they're kinda gay. I mean that literally. There's a lot of gay, lesbian, transgender, bi characters in my world. The main character of my biggest series, the Nightblade epic, is a bisexual girl and one of her best friends is a gay boy. The main character of my other big series, the Academy Journals, is straight, but he's in a relationship with a bisexual and polyamorous woman, not to mention that one of his best friends is a lesbian who's in a long-term, if slightly on-again, off-again relationship. The High King is a trans woman. There are ace characters and arrow characters, NBs.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria!
But, again, if you know me, I'm a cisgendered heterosexual dude, so why? Why do this? Well, I'm a firm believer that an artist should be trying to do something new. If you're not trying to create something new and do things better than they've been done before, then you're just rehashing the same old stuff and you're not really contributing all that much. And what I struck on first was that there were few, if any, fantasy universes or series that had been built upon diverse representation from the ground up. There are some exceptions, but they are exceptions, and if you ask most fantasy fans what the biggest tentpole series of all time are, they will rarely name one of these diverse representative series. Now, as I've also talked about before, I think that there are two ways that you can write diverse and representative content. You can write a story about the difficulties and discrimination that marginalized people face in our current society, which I just did not feel qualified or inclined to do. And the other option is to just create a world in which these marginalized people exist and don't face that discrimination or hardship, either because that discrimination has been overcome or because it never existed in the first place. I chose the second option, and so Underrealm began to take on the shape that it has today. But this was a decision made very early on in my writing career, and also while I was still learning a lot about social justice issues. And in time I realized that creating this world and populating it with these characters was not enough, because while it was a nice fantasy, it was just a fantasy, and I was not doing enough to affect the change I wanted to see in the real world. I learned that diverse and representative stories are great, but they are best when they are created and told by diverse creators. And that's when my focus on my writing and my world changed. I realized that I could do some good with my work, but I could do even more good by also empowering the work of others. That's when I decided to form a publishing company rather than continue to just go it alone as an author. And the goal of that company from the beginning was to be a platform for the voices of excellent authors who the fantasy genre has ignored in the past. And we're now working with 4 authors, or 5 depending on how you count them, long story, who are creating their own works in the world of Underrealm. And not only are they all excellent storytellers in their own right, trust me, I've read their work, but they represent a range of sexuality, gender, race, and disability. We're not quite ready for introductions yet, sorry, gotta figure out a good way to do that if the authors even want to be introduced, probably not on camera, at least at first, but you are going to start seeing their stories very soon, and based on everything that I have seen so far, I really think you're gonna love them. And we are going to continue to expand. We are seeking out more authors to tell more stories, so just keep your eyes peeled. If you actually want to keep your eyes peeled, you can click on the card right up there or the link in the description below to sign up for the Legacy Books email list, which will introduce you to these books and let you know as soon as these authors' works start coming out. One thing that I've been trying to figure out since I first started writing is whether the fantasy genre or publishing in general needs another bearded white dude behind the keyboard. And I think the answer to that can be yes, if that bearded white dude uses their societal advantage to help those who don't have it. And I hope that we start to see a lot more of that going forward. And that is it for me today, Rebel. You can check out my last video on the channel right up there, or check out my Patreon right down there to see my secret weekend videos. I will see you on Monday. Bye!